Well, it's really interesting because my very first transition was probably the starkest I've had in my career, except for maybe going from The Leftovers to Westworld, which was very stark. But I was coming off of Mad Men, and that my second show was an NBC show called Constantine, which David Goyer produced. It was a Warner Brothers NBC show based on a very long-running graphic novel comic book that I had not read. I was not a comic book person. Was not that kind of a genre person. I hadn't thought of myself as a network writer. So it was wrong. On paper, you could have said it was a really, really weird move for someone coming off of Mad Men. But a piece of advice that I got from Matt on Mad Men that he gave to a couple of the lower level writers on Mad Men, he said to me, as the show was coming to an end, he said, if this is the only show that you've worked on, if the end of Mad Men is the only show that you've worked on, you haven't worked in television yet. Because the end of that show, there's no network notes, there's no studio notes. And there's, it's a totally different crucible from that to go and work on a show, that the pilot just got picked up and now how is it's going to fight for its life. And in a way, though I was intimidated in a different way going on to, I was a staff writer on Mad Men when I left, and so I came into Constantine as a staff writer also. And it was intimidating in its own way because I had grown up in the Mad Men room. I had been able to make the transition to staff writer with people kind of rooting for me because I'd come up as an assistant, so they already knew me and wanted to support me. And this was okay, what do you got? Here's a room full of professional writers, and I'm the lowest ranking one. But it was also freeing. It was invigorating in a way because I didn't have the same... I was so overwhelmed with how much I loved Mad Men and how important it loomed in the culture and all of these, that you wanted to be able to get the best right idea anytime that you spoke. And there was a freedom on Constantine to just be in a writer's room and, generate ideas, offer ideas that maybe they won't work, but someone else will pick them up. I felt a little bit less performance anxiety there. I was able to kind of stretch out a little bit and started to learn my own voice there a little bit because I also, going from a show that had a very strict lane of imagination on Mad Men to a show that was essentially about magic. My imagination could go to new and different places. And I also really got to learn, well, what does it look like to work on a show that's not your natural voice? Because you're going to do that a lot in a career. How are you going to apply your skills as a writer to, a show that you're not even the natural audience for? And I learned a lot about that. And I learned a lot about what happens when a network and a studio have competing visions for a program. So I also learned a lot about the making of television on that show.